Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bogged Down and Lockdown. This is your host Harish along with Maciej.
Hello.
Also joining us today is Luke. Say hi, Luke.
Hello.
Who's our very special guest today. Very, very special. Introduce yourself, Luke. Go on.
My name is Luke. As Harish said, I am a very special guest, supposedly. And I
Yeah.
was born on Father's Day, so there you go.
Yeah. Well done, Luke. He's a very close friend to us, and we asked him to join us today to kind of give us a hand at having our wonderful conversation. And we hope to discuss a lot of stuff.
Keep in mind, the most interesting thing about Luke is that he was born on Father's Day. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Didn't he
I was
say
kind of hoping that we'd just talk about Father's Day for an hour, then I
Yeah.
can go.
Lovely stuff.
Father's Day started in 1622. And,
Was that approximately when you were born?
yeah.
Yeah, Maciej, he's like 600 years old.
Well, I thought so.
Yeah.
I think it's 400, but we'll just, there you go.
My
Harish
maths isn't
has-
great.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is our second episode. We had our first episode come out last week, and if you didn't get a chance to listen to that, please have a go and listen to that. There is a link in the description, and we did start up our new Insta page as well. It's called Bogged Down Lockdown, as you may know already by their name.
Pudding.
But I'll have Magic, shut up, man. There's going to be a link not a link, but like the name of the thingy is going to be in the description below. And please have go visit that thing and thingy, visit that page and follow us as well, please. So without ado, let's get started. It's been a lot going on this week, to be honest. But before we dig into the nitty gritty, can we just take a moment to acknowledge the fact that the number of deaths and cases related to COVID-19 has like plummeted over the last week
In Ireland.
In Ireland.
in Ireland, yeah. Especially in other parts of the world, it's like hitting the roof, but in Ireland, it's going down.
Yeah.
Like today, the Tuesday, the 2nd of June, it's 8 cases. Sorry, no, 8 deaths.
Cases.
8 deaths and 10 additional cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings the death toll up to 1,658, and brings the number of cases up to 25,066. Now, like, I know it's 8 deaths, and those are 8 families virtually, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you compare it on a large scale, like if you compare that to the number of deaths we had like 3 weeks ago, what was it, 300?
Yeah, something around that.
At some stage, we did have like 300 cases or something like that.
Indeed.
But now I don't think it's past 55 now. The number of cases has gone up and down, but that's not taking into the fact the number of people that are leaving, like getting cured, not cured, but that are recovering and leaving.
Yes. You could also compare it to other countries in the world which have like massive spike of COVID-19 cases, like Brazil.
Yeah. And yeah, in Brazil, I don't know. In Brazil, in America, it's gone to 1.8 million. I may be wrong, but
It's a large figure. It's in the millions, definitely.
It's into the millions. In India, it's just hitting the roof.
For Ireland, we could see the end goal of the COVID-19, because it's drastically, well, not drastically, but it is extremely low. But
it's gone low, and we're getting closer and closer to zero, because I think the reproduction rate of the virus is at like 0.2% or something like that. But I'll recheck on that again.
It's also a lot to do like with the weather right now. It's been a really sunny and roasting days. Last few days.
The past week, it's been pretty warm.
Yeah, and like SARS, the virus from I believe 2013, Corona doesn't stand a chance against the sun.
Yeah, Maciej, have a fight, one. Yeah, have not.
Well, the reason is vitamin D, which you get from the sun, is
here he is.
Very good. Very good for the immune system.
Look at this fella.
And so obviously, if you have a good immune system,
it's
you got
like
harder
a H3,
for the virus. I got H3, but still to do a PLC.
Yep.
Anyway,
those that are listening, Luke actually has Corona.
Yeah.
And TB.
Possibly.
And every other disease on this planet, according to Harish.
Yeah, and apparently I look like everyone on the planet, according to Harish. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's face reveal at 1,000.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
The face reveal of Luke, specifically.
Yeah,
not
even
us.
though no, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but that, I think we've acknowledged the fact that it's gone down. But moving on to something that's hitting the news all over the world, especially in the last 2 days, is the tragic death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA.
It had a really huge domino effect.
It's having a ripple effect all over the world. There was a protest in Ireland, in Dublin. There was one yesterday and there's one today in Blanchardstown.
And O'Connell Street.
And O'Connell Street. Outside the US Embassy as well.
Yeah.
Down in, I don't know where the US Embassy is, but it's somewhere in South Dublin.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, I don't know if our listeners or you looked at the entire story. I don't know if you've watched the video as well. It's quite disturbing video. But what's your take on this?
Well, first off, I think before we give our takes, I think we should just clarify that none of us. Well, first off, we're not American, and also none of us have really experienced police brutality, so we can't really speak as to how it feels. So all of our opinions here should be taken with a grain of salt. Yeah, but I mean, like, we don't have experience.
Yeah, we don't know what happened. We don't know exactly what happened.
We're also living in a country where police brutality is like really low compared to
low.
America.
It's extremely low.
Yeah.
If you compare Ireland to any other country that has police brutality, Ireland is like very, very low on the scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, to our listeners, like, we're not supporting it, or no, we're not doing anything, but like, we're just here to
voice our opinions.
Just give an outsider's opinion.
Yeah. Give an outsider's opinion. Like, none of it is true. Like, most of it might not be true, and we may not always. It's factual. Yeah. It's not factual. Sorry.
It's not factual. Yeah.
What?
It's not factual. What we're saying is not factual.
Yeah.
It's subjective.
Subjective. I can't talk English, guys. Just saying.
We know.
I think I'm the only one who can elicit English words from my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I probably know the least from the two of you about this, but from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the guy went into a shop trying to buy something using counterfeit money, which, first off, I don't know about the US, but like, that's not a I don't think it's a felony.
It's not a violent crime.
Counterfeit depends on the amount.
It was only €20 or dollars, I should say.
And then, from what I know, the person behind the whatever you call it, the shop clerk called the police, and they showed up, and then that's where my knowledge ends. Like, my knowledge then comes back when you just see the video of him kneeling on the guy's neck, which
is tragic.
Isn't the best look for the police officer.
Yeah.
And apparently they did have previous history knowing each other in a nightclub. Now, I don't know if that means they both worked in a nightclub or if.
I think George Floyd did actually work in a nightclub, but I'm not sure if they had a relationship going on.
Yeah, I mean, that was years ago. I don't know if that's something you can really bring up. Like, that's, I understand why people are trying to make that connection, but I wouldn't say it's very relevant.
Yeah. I was just reading an article, and basically it explained, like, it gave me a breakdown of what exactly happened, because there's a lot of people having different stories, and there's all sorts of things going on, and basically what happened was it began with a report of a fake $20 bill, which is the equivalent of like 19 quid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how it works, actually.
The shopkeeper, the store employee, found out that it was counterfeit, and he called the police. And when he called the police, he told the dispatcher that the store employee told the dispatcher that Mr. Floyd was looking a bit drunk or not in control of himself. Now, I'm not the one saying this. It's all upon BBC News, so if you want to reconfirm, you can have a look at that. But yeah, the store employee told the dispatcher that Mr. Floyd was drunk or not, drunk / not in control of himself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also saying that he was a regular at the shops. He was from the area. His native was Houston, Texas, and he'd recently worked as a bouncer in the city, like millions of other Americans. But he unfortunately lost his job due to the ongoing pandemic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they made a call to 911, and he was actually buying cigarettes, and when the store employee asked for the cigarettes back, Mr. Floyd said no. Okay. And they left, and they went to a nearby parking lot, and they sat there, and there was two of them, Mr. Floyd and someone else, were sitting there in the parking lot. Okay. And two police officers arrived on scene. Okay. Yep. They parked around the corner, and they went up, and for some reason, one of the police officers, who was a white male, according to BBC News, pulled out his gun, okay, and told Mr. Floyd to show his hands. Now, I don't know why the police officer took his gun out, but
what I'd say is we need to we need to know what the actual call was made, like what was actually said from the police call, because like all I can say is, let's say I was a police officer, which I never will be, but I mean I'm sure Harish, you would know that if you get a call saying someone, I'm assuming the employee would have said he robbed the store, because technically he did rob the store, and then the fella saying he's under the influence, you'd arrive to the scene a bit on guard, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd be watching out for like something that's off. Yeah.
I
don't know if brandishing a weapon really helps that situation. But
yeah, I don't. That's a bit dodgy. But then
during the call, they said that he was drunk and not in control.
Again, to our listeners, we're not 100. These are just facts from online resources. Yeah. So we're not. This may or may not be right. So don't take us for granted. And moving on, it says that when the police arrived, they put their hands on Mr. Floyd, okay, and pulled him out of the car. Okay, Mr. Floyd was getting into his car.
But he wasn't approaching the officers.
He wasn't approaching, but when they pulled him out of the car, he actively resisted being handcuffed. Okay, and once handcuffed, Mr. Floyd became compliant, and the police officer told him that he was passing counterfeit currency. Yeah.
Yep.
Then when the police officer tried to put him into his patrol car or squad car, whatever you call it, Mr. Floyd resisted.
Yeah.
And that's why they pinned him to the ground, and I think everyone knows what happened after that.
Well, he fell to the ground.
No, he didn't fall. He was pinned down. He was like brought down to the ground.
Oh, okay.
Like in America, like the way it works, I don't think just in America, I think many law enforcement agencies across the world, like if you're struggling with a suspect, the first thing you want to do is bring them to the ground, because you get more control.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's true, but then by the looks of it, if you bring someone to the ground, you have more control over them.
Also, according to the report, he also was claustrophobic, and he mentioned that to the officers.
Oh yeah, that's another. I forgot to mention that he was claustrophobic, and he did forget he did mention it to the police officers.
He didn't.
He did, and he refused to get into the car because he told them he was claustrophobic, but they didn't listen. So they literally reefed him out of the car and put him to the ground. And after that, yourself, he put everything else played out.
Yeah.
But what's disturbing?
Knelt on his neck.
Yeah, but what's disturbing is that if you watch not the video, but there's a picture of him on the ground with the police officer on top. Like, he's saying he can't breathe, he needs water, and he's saying that repeatedly, but the police officer isn't listening. And there's 3 other police officers on top of him.
When the other 2 police officers arrived after, they should have he should have just went back from his neck and just held him.
I mean, if the guy was actually in handcuffs, I mean, I would assume 2 officers would be able to lift him to his feet and at least hold him. Yeah, control him. I don't know why. And then when the other 2 came, definitely. But I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched the full video. I haven't watched after the incident, so I don't know if the police officers were trying to do crowd control, which is not for nothing, but like when there's a lot of videos of police officers, whether the people were innocent or not. When they're making arrests, there's definitely a crowd that would form that would be a threat to the police officers. So you can understand why maybe the other two were called to do crowd control. But I mean,
I'll stop you right there. But only one was doing the crowd control. The other two the other three, I should say, were holding Mr. Floyd down.
I kind of get where you're coming from, Maciej, but like what I'm trying to say, I'm leaning towards Luke here now, but what I'm trying to say is that sometimes, like it says that the police officers knew that Mr. Floyd was drunk slash not in control of himself, and sometimes people that are under the influence of something, not drugs, not alcohol, are under the influence of something, yeah, are usually harder to control and harder to.
But I think three people could control one man.
Well, I think two
in
people.
a different way. Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
He should have taken his knee off his neck first.
Yes.
Off. I mean, you could easily put that knee on his back if you still want to. Because if you put your knee on someone from behind, they're not getting up.
No.
They'd have to be really stronger than you to actually break out of that, especially if they're in handcuffs and under the influence. So his knee should not have been on his neck. I'd say at all, but if it was to immobilize him, it shouldn't have been on for that long. It takes a long time to actually strangle someone in the way he was doing it. So it's not like this all happened within like 10 seconds that he just like crushed his windpipe.
Yeah.
No, he was actually actively strangling the guy from with his knee. So it doesn't take a minute. You shouldn't be holding someone down in that position for that long.
I think it was 8 minutes and 46 seconds to be exact. That he was in that position.
Just way too long.
Yeah.
Is that how long he was alive for now, or is that just in?
That's how long the police officer went on him.
Under the knee, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, but I don't like. Okay, so I think the police officer is definitely in the wrong. I think.
Yeah, it's his fault. Like I'm 100%. It's the police officer's fault, and what he did was completely wrong. But like what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to support the police officer. I'm trying to say he tried to do his job, but he failed in doing it properly.
Yeah,
I think he was incompetent at his job.
He the technique he was using, like to put your suspect on the ground and try to get control over him. Okay, that was right, but he kind of had too much control. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think they teach officers to put their knees on the necks.
Not Matt. That's what I'm trying to say.
It could be a thing of anger management, though. I think, and you'll see this with even the riots now, that a lot of police officers feel like personally attacked by this whole situation, and now they're just firing like indiscriminately into crowds.
Yeah.
So I say, I'm not like, but the reason I think the guy should definitely get charged. Now I wouldn't say, there's some people who are thinking he should be getting like the bloody death penalty. That's way too much. I think it's a case of second degree murder, because I think it's not first degree, because before he was called to the situation, like he had no knowledge of who this person is. Like, yeah, he might have known him from a nightclub a couple of years ago, but like, that's a couple of years ago, first off. And second off, I'm assuming he wasn't told the person's name when he went to the scene.
I don't think so, no.
So I think it was heat in the moment. I think the police officer clearly had some sort of anger issue, and he decided to take his anger out on the person. Because I'm assuming, just like I know myself, if I was trying to arrest someone and they were calling me names and they were like resisting, I'd get angry. Now, I think the difference is police officers should be trained to control that anger.
Yeah.
And I think they are trained, I want to say.
Most of them, at least.
So, yeah. So, I don't know if I'd jump to it being a racial thing. It could be. Yeah, and it definitely exists. Like, there definitely are racist cops. It's very hard to... There's not really a test you can do to check if someone's a racist before you hire them as a police officer.
Yeah. Again, like for our listeners, we're not like three of us aren't supporting the police officer. We're just trying to point out the facts.
Not to mention that the police officer had 18 complaints already. And so like a lot of his the policemen on the scene were also like having like 6 or 8 complaints themselves.
Maciej, to be honest, like if you're a police officer, you're gonna get a lot of complaints. Like even for the
I'm
slightest thing.
assuming that complaints that were actually
fair,
substantiated.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know the.
It's
full
like
thing,
false
but,
arrest probably.
Yeah.
like from what I think, if you're a police officer, you're most certainly gonna get complaints because it's just the nature of the job.
But I think police is making. I think they're trying to separate the cases where someone gets a justified complaint and someone who doesn't get a justified complaint. I think
Yeah.
the complaints that were made, the 18 of them, I feel like they were justified. I don't know them, but
Yeah.
I could probably with confidence say that the police stations and the chief officers try and make them fair.
Yeah.
Well, there's a department within the police that actually
Yeah.
investigate the police themselves, you know. And now, look, you can. There's a good argument to be made that they're corrupt, but you know, I don't believe every single one's corrupt. That's just insane. I'd say most police are just trying to make a difference. But
did you ever hear that saying? A rotten apple.
One bad apple spoils the bunch.
One bad apple spoils the bunch. Exactly, and I think this is just a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because
well, look, I think just because we don't want to be talking about this, just the actual incident itself. But I think we all agree that police officer was in the wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He tried to do his job. He tried to do his job, but his emotions took control of him, and as a result.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know if he actually had if we don't know if he was racist or if he was,
It's all speculation at this point.
Until we actually get his testimony, we're not really gonna know for sure.
But what ensued afterwards
it's just chaos.
This is where the divisions are made. Because to be honest, I don't think anyone in their right mind can look at that police officer and say, well, look at it from this angle. But with the riots, I suppose that's where
it's the riots are just the riots are what that does my head in. Like honestly, it's for a good cause. It's for what they're trying to do is a great thing. They're trying to eradicate racism, which is a brilliant thing, and we do need it. But what I'm trying to say is it the right time? Right? Is it necessary? To do that with the ongoing pandemic? Like, there's millions of people, especially in America. There's 1.2 or 3 million people that are affected by corona.
Yeah.
And across the world as well, there's so many things going on. Especially in Dublin as well, there's so many things going on. And is it the right time to do this? Like, do people ever think of that?
Well, I think they also think that if they leave it for however long this takes, I mean, realistically, by the time we get a vaccine out, this thing is gonna be gone. Vaccines take months and months to make.
Years even.
To properly test and all that. So it's either do it now or just there's no point in not doing it now, waiting 6-7 months and then all of a sudden bringing it back. That's not gonna really help. And I think also you need to understand that this is the first time it's ever been this serious for this long anyway, because there was the one case of there was a case where a black man was shot, but then it came out later that he was actually reaching for a weapon, so the movement kind of died down. But whereas this time, there's video evidence, the guy didn't seem to be reaching for any weapon.
I mean, to be honest, the video is redacted heavily, so we can't really say what happened. It's redacted, and the audio has been cut off at certain points because it's kind of controversial. And again, we can't say exactly what happened until the testimony of the police officer comes out. Police officers come out, because there's a couple of them there.
Yeah. And the witnesses, there was
a couple of witnesses. Yeah, it was in the middle of the town.
Yeah.
So again, but in my opinion, I don't think the riots are necessary, especially at this time.
I'd say I think there should be protests, because I think at a certain point you kind of have to say enough is enough. I'm not trying to sit here and say that police brutality isn't real, or that because I know a big whatever you say, a counter argument is that if this happened to a white person, no one would make a fuss. And that's true, and I don't think that should be the case. But you have to kind of understand though that this does happen to black people disproportionately. It is true that.
But Luke, you're saying like the only reason this is happening, okay, is because it was a white police officer against a black.
Well, I'd say I don't think the color of the police officer matters. I think it's the fact that he was a police officer is what matters.
Yeah.
Like white people kill black people every day, and vice versa.
Okay,
That's,
but then
with gang-related shootouts and stuff like that.
Would it be the same if it was a black man killing a white man, or would it be the same if it was a black police officer killing a white man?
If it was I don't care what color the police officer is killing a white person, it'd be on the news. I don't think the media would like suppress it, but there won't be a movement to it because it's
exactly.
not.
That's
not. Yeah, but the thing is, you can't make that argument though because it doesn't happen to white people as much.
Yeah, it wouldn't. When this happening, like it would be on the news. It would be about the police brutality and not about the racial division, which it is right now.
Is it? I don't know if see the ongoing protests, / riots,
Yeah.
I'm finding it difficult to understand. Is it a racial, like to prevent racism movement, or is it a police brutality?
It's both.
It's both. It's both.
It's the fact that police, generally speaking, when you look at brutality cases, it's mostly black people.
Yeah.
It's mostly against black people or people from a diverse background. Like and I'm not saying that it makes it more tragic. I don't think if this happened to some like a white guy, I don't think it'd be less tragic. It would still be tragic. I think the reason there's a big fuss about it is that people are saying enough is enough, and it happens. It happens disproportionately.
Yeah.
So obviously, at some point, the ceiling's gonna break, and you're gonna now. Do I think the looting? Like, my biggest problem with the riots is that there's a lot of people who are just using it as an excuse to just loot stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously, everyone knows that a great way to get your point across is to break into people's shops who had nothing to do with the actual case and steal all their crap.
Yeah.
Like there's videos of I've seen a video of a homeless guy. He got his mattress thrown on a fire.
I seen that.
There was one of a small. He owns a shop. He was black himself, and he was from the what you'd call, I suppose, the ghetto. And he got his shop burned down. Like, is that justice? That's burning down someone who supports Black Lives Matter and who comes from the same background. That's really gonna show people that that's okay. Like, it's not a great look. But then again, I think you need to make a differentiation between Black Lives Matter and radicals because
you could also argue that a lot of even white supremacists are going to the peaceful protests and rioting, assuming that just to make the Black Lives Matter movement look bad.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd point out is that during the ongoing protests, there's riots and protests going on in many cities across the world, and during that, a lot of police officers are getting injured. A lot, like just yesterday, in I think it was Minneapolis, but I may be wrong, but I'm going to recheck that. In one of the cities in America, 6 police officers were seriously injured during a riot. Is that fair?
Is it fair that peaceful protesters are also getting injured by the police? Peaceful protesters again.
I think this is where emotions come into it. Like, let's say let's start with Harish's one. Harish said police officers are going out on the street now, and if you're a police officer and then you see all these videos on Facebook of police officers getting their heads kicked in by protesters, you go out, you see someone walking towards you, you just start shooting.
Yeah,
you start shooting whatever rubber bullets or whatever, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, again,
but you're trying to protect yourself.
You're in full riot gear, and these people are in civilian clothes. Yeah. You should have the kind of cop on. Now, I'm not trying to justify that every single person who is put down, shot with rubber bullets or pepper bullets by the police is wrong. But there was a 3 to 4 minute video of journalists getting shot. Now, journalists, first off, I mean, from nearly every video, the video starts before the actual shooting. So it's not like you see the journalist get shot and then it turns out that they were throwing signs. It's literally, there's one video of a woman reporting. The rioters are it's at an intersection, so the rioters are going to right, retreating, I suppose you'd say, down one street, and the police officers are coming up another street, and she's on. and I'm pressed, and you don't hear it in the video, but they say later that one of the police officers just shouted, "We don't care."
Is it just me or did
You know?
Luke just cut out like
Luke, can you restart so we could just get
just like rewind back like 10 seconds?
What's the last thing I said?
Intersection.
Yeah. Okay. So the rioters were retreating one way, the police were coming out the other way, and the news lady was on a completely different street. She was nowhere near the rioters. She was standing still reporting, and she started to get shot by the rubber bullets. And she said, we're pressed, don't shoot. And they kept shooting. And again, you don't hear it in the video, but you can actually what
Make
she
out.
Yeah.
says. No, you can't hear it. You can't. It's not recorded. You can't hear it. But she did say that one of the policemen just literally shouted back, "We don't care."
Oh.
So I don't think you can blame the rioters for all the chaos. I definitely think it's coming from both sides.
I feel like the
But
police
yeah, I
officers
don't.
there did give like multiple orders to back off, but like as people don't like some people don't like listening to police officers, and people just stand their ground, and I think that's a result of what happened. They're like the reporters, as a reporter now. Some reporters are a bit like they stand their ground and stubborn. That's the word. And police officers, like I think the police officer told them to like back off, retreat, and they probably didn't listen, and as a result, they got hit. Now, if they got hit in the face, I don't know why they got hit in the face. They're not. They
Yeah,
shouldn't.
the camera
shouldn't.
lady got hit in the face.
They
I don't know
shouldn't
if she
be.
went blind, but like her eye was swollen. There was a picture
Like
of it.
police do not have authority to hit someone in the face, even if it's a real gun or a non-lethal gun. You're not allowed to hit anyone in the face with a weapon, anywhere in the body except the face.
Yeah, I don't like the this whole thing of like I don't know. I like it's kind of it's disheartening. Like personally, I don't not that I don't support Black Lives Matter, but it's not my fight realistically.
Yeah.
I have no connections to America,
You're not
so
racist. Like you're
I'm
not.
not. Yeah, I'd like to think I'm not racist, but I mean the thing is that this is why this whole thing is so like fucked up. Is that just even me saying I don't fully support Black Lives Matter is racist to some people.
Yeah, I
When I
understand
think
what you mean.
I don't think you should be going after people who are saying, well, looting is bad, or like personally, I don't like the message. You should be just focusing on the actual issue that a man tragically lost his life because maybe it was a racial profiling situation, maybe it was just police brutality. I don't know, but there's a lot of posts on social media of people saying like, oh, if you say the looting is wrong, then you're just a white supremacist. I've seen a lot of people actually say that, where it's like if you disagree with any aspect of the riots, it's like you're immediately labeled a white supremacist. So we can tuck you in a box and push you away because your opinion doesn't matter. You're a white supremacist or whatever.
Also, people who are busy in their daily lives and don't have the time to just go and like go to protests, they're also being called like white supremacists because they are not voicing their opinion at all, which isn't right on its own.
Another thing,
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
Well, this is the kind of situation that it's really disheartening when you see it. It's turned into a political thing.
Yeah.
This should not be political. This is a situation where a man lost his life, but you have people on both sides of like in America now, because in America politics is very like you're either with us or against us for the most. Like in terms of media, I'm not saying like the people, because
the real politics is different from what the media says it is.
Well, among the people, I definitely think among the actual politicians, it is very much so. Like, which is I consider myself down the center, but like I think someone on the radical left would say I'm an alt right, and someone on the alt right would say I'm a radical leftist. So like, I hate the fact that this is made into a political issue rather than a humanitarian issue. That we're not
100%.
Like people are using this man's death as to their own political gain. Like
it's disrespectful, extremely.
Yeah.
And another thing I'd like to point out is that the main reason these riots and these these protests are happening is because people want to eradicate racism,
Yeah.
But I personally believe that instead of doing what they intended to do, they're doing the opposite. They're literally encouraging more racist people.
Well, if you the worst way to ever. Well, first off, the worst way to ever change someone's opinion is through violence. But like, let's say when you look at a lot of white supremacists, one of their biggest arguments. Now, first off, I think we can all agree white supremacy is retarded.
Yeah, 100%.
You know.
Yeah, indeed.
So, but if you look at a white supremacist and then you show him a video of all these people who are non-white, or even people who are white supporting the cause, breaking into stores, battering people on the streets. You know, there was a video of, now you could say this guy deserved it. There was a video of this guy who brandished a sword.
Yeah.
And he might not be dead, but in the video he had about 12 people kicking him and curb stomping him and stuff like that. So if you show a white supremacist a video, he's not going to go, "Oh, the doy, I was so wrong about these people." He's going to say, "This is the reason I'm a white supremacist."
Yeah. Oh yeah, I understand. Agree with you there.
You
they stand their ground. You're
just reinforcing their like fucked up ideas of that their race is superior because they just say, "Well, my people aren't doing that."
They wanted evidence, and we just gave them evidence.
Of course, they do the same thing. Look at Charlottesville. You can clearly see where they're the exact same. But
also, a lot of leaders, like political white supremacy leaders, are using this opportunity to cut like different moments from the riots and show people, like even young people who are susceptible to having their opinions changed, that like black people are bad, which they're not, but white supremacists are using that to basically it's like propaganda, kind of.
No, it's manipulation.
Yeah,
they're using
I also think though.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I'm saying that they're using a bad thing, a very negative thing, to kind of enhance themselves, enhance their vision. Oh, sorry, not their vision, their image amongst the public.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a fucked up situation.
Like there was a guy who was speaking out, saying like that riot protesters basically attacked him because he shouted "All Lives Matter" in his car. But
I seen that.
There was
Didn't he whip a shotgun out?
No. But there was video of him shouting "All Lives Matter" with a crossbow. Not crossbow.
Yeah,
a bow
he was brandishing a bow and arrow. Yeah,
aiming at people.
I'm gonna sneeze.
And that's what I'd say about the guy with the sword. It's like, yeah, do I think the guy should have been beaten close to death? No.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, people have like, it's not like the guy with the sword was standing still, like waving around, like, "Oh, look at my sword." No, he was running after people with the sword.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm assuming when he caught someone, he wasn't going to say, "Oh, look at this sword, isn't it nice?" No, he was going to probably hurt them.
He's putting other people's lives in danger.
With all these riots, these protests, more than ever we could see that there are two sides to every story, and to get a valuable opinion, you need to know both sides. Even in media, there is one side shown in like Fox News, for example, and there's a different side shown in CNN of the same thing.
Like, you don't know which one to believe.
You need to get both, and then think.
I want to say, I want to say Fox is pretty open that they're conservative.
Yeah.
I still think CNN kind of tries to play like, "Oh, we're like unbiased."
Yeah.
But they clearly are biased. But yeah.
For all my news recently, I've been going on Twitter, because the accounts on Twitter are usually from people in the protests that have like seen and recorded the actual what's happening. So it's more real than the actual social media.
I just think these whole riots have just kind of highlighted how easily a message is lost. Like, like the fact that we just spent the last like 10, 15 minutes not even discussing the actual event that started this whole riot, but we're just talking about looters and people being bad on both sides. It just kind of shows that like these riots don't really get people anywhere. It just raises more issues. It just shows that people who had these notions that their race was superior, they just feel reinforced, and then because they feel reinforced, people on the other side have to go back, pushing back harder.
Yeah.
And it's just a monopoly.
It's a chain reaction. Like one thing will lead into many other things. Yeah. Just when we're talking about politics, something that popped into my head. Did you see what happened outside the White House?
What happened?
He went into the bunker for the first time.
Yeah,
Trump.
so
Oh, yeah.
so Maciej, basically what happened was that there, see the way there's like riots all over
Yeah.
America, yeah?
Yeah.
And there was riots in front of the White House, okay?
Yeah.
Now, like massive riots. Now, these are violent, and for the first time in U.S. history, okay, they turned off the lights in the White House, and the president was brought down to the bunker, which is underneath the White House.
Was it the first
Which
time he
is,
was brought to the bunker? Wasn't there
yeah,
one.
first time.
Are you sure? Because like there could have been one time, and like even during like
You,
Vietnam War.
I've seen that
nah,
was the first time.
It
it was the
was
first time.
okay.
You might think,
Well, there definitely wouldn't have been one during World War Two. I know you were saying that, but like like in World War Two, not saying that America wasn't in danger. Like obviously there were thousands of soldiers
Yeah.
getting killed, but the actual mainland of America wouldn't have really been in too much trouble because first off, there's no way any plane from Europe was getting to America. Not
especially
at that time, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Japanese ones, like by the time the Japanese reached Pearl Harbor, their planes were basically out of fuel.
Just a little bit. Just had a little bit to get back.
Yeah, well, but they didn't really go back. They kind of went down.
Yeah, they kind of went down.
Yeah.
Kamikaze. But yeah, so definitely not in World War Two. The only one I could think of is 9/11, but even then, he wasn't actually in the White House when it happened.
Yeah, I
He
was going
could
to say
have.
that.
He could have been transported back to the White House to the bunker.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
They knew that.
All right.
He was transported back to Andrews Air Force Base, which was like beside. That's where the National Guard is located.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was about to say that you might think 9/11, but in fact 9/11, George Bush was in a skill.
Yeah,
I know that.
Giving a speech.
Yeah. So yeah, for the first time, Trump was brought down to the bunker, which is mainly intended for like in the event that there's like a nuclear missile launch.
Yeah, it's a threat to homeland security, basically.
Threat to homeland security, and yeah, so he was brought down. And some people are saying he's a coward because he was brought down. But again, I wouldn't blame him because it's his security forces that deal with all that.
Yeah.
If they find anything as a threat, even a pigeon, they bring him down.
Well, if you make a threat to the president, even if like you look at it wasn't Kathy Newman, it was like I can't think of her name, but there was some. Remember, she held up the severed head. She was investigating of Trump. She held up like a severed head as a joke. It was clearly a joke.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a good joke.
No.
It was a shy joke.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it. Well, maybe it wasn't a joke. Maybe it was a political statement. But like, she was investigated by the Secret Service, even though it was clear she had no intentions of actually doing that. She was still investigated.
Yeah.
They take it very seriously.
Because the problem is that if they think a threat is not an actual threat, yeah, what's the chances that person would not do it again?
But if in the midst of this, why they then go outside to go to a church?
That's what,
church, yeah.
That's the weird one. So basically, after that, yeah, there's a church across the road from the White House called St. John's Church, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And basically, what Trump did was that he left his bunker, walked. Let's just acknowledge that he walked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walked across the White House. Now this is 30 minutes before the curfew. Okay.
Yeah.
He walked across, and with all the violent protesters and all going on, with military policing, with the National Guard in, with the army in, he was walking across, went to the church, held up a Bible in front of the church, and he literally says, "We have the greatest country in the world. We're going to keep it nice and safe." Now,
don't forget to mention that when this was all happening, the peaceful protesters that were nearby, near the White House, were all being pushed back by the police.
Well,
and they were pushed back like violently.
They weren't all peaceful. There was multiple.
Yes.
I don't know if they were explosive devices or if it was smoke grenade, but there was multiple stuff thrown into the White House. So I definitely wouldn't say they were peaceful.
There was a Molotov, not Molotov, like a you have a bottle and you put a yolk into it, like a fire.
Yeah, Molotov.
That's Molotov.
Yeah.
Molotov. They threw a Molotov over the gate.
Yeah.
So
like
the White House.
You have to. This was when he was escorted down to the bunker.
So that was like the night before.
The reason they did that
you can't take chances.
Stuff were thrown across.
He is the president, whether you accept him or not. He still is the president of the United States.
Like I don't know why he knew. Sometimes I think why. Like, does Trump have a conscience? Like, does he have a brain? Because he is the most powerful man on earth, most important man on earth, and he's like he's in danger like 24/7.
I think he's acting as if he was a dictator and everyone should obey him, which is not a good state for a president of, especially the most powerful country in the world, to have.
No,
I,
no,
th-
what
no,
he
I
said.
think I think you're kind of reaching calling him a dictator now. I wouldn't say he's a dictator.
I mean, Maciej, at the end of the day,
He
he's doing
still
his
is
job.
democratic.
Fair.
I think it was just very stupid of him to just walk out knowing that. Like it's a provocation. He didn't have to go. Like he didn't have to go to. He could have just done the address. You know I don't know what's
Like,
called now, but like
in his Oval
where he
Office.
addresses the state. Yeah, he could have just did
Yeah.
that. He didn't have to walk across the road, go to a church, hold up a Bible.
Man, he could have gotten this
You know.
beast. He has a car that's like that can take a missile attack.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm not talking about him actually walking. I'm just saying, why would he actually go out in the first place? He should have stayed inside.
You should have just stayed.
I mean, what is up? Like, speaking of walking out, like, there's a lot of presidents that actually leave the White House and just walk. I remember Obama walked to, like, I think it was McDonald's or something.
Yeah, well, he wasn't really handling
He wasn't a
protests.
threat.
He wasn't a threat.
You know, like him or not, you know, whether you like him or not, he was actually. I wouldn't say his life was in danger.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
wasn't-
even people who didn't really support him, bar like maybe white supremacists, but even people who didn't support him, I don't think they would ever attack him. He, you know.
Then
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Trump is way more controversial than I would even say most presidents of America, especially
I'd say-
He probably
Obama.
is the most controversial.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
might put him on the same level as George Bush, but like maybe you might step that up now after these events.
I think he's
Yeah.
definitely the most controversial. The thing is though, there's groups like Antifa that
Yeah.
because of the political kind of climate that's in America, they
Yeah.
aren't officially being denounced by. I mean, they'll be denounced by Trump and all that, but like you won't see Democrats really denouncing them. At least I haven't seen any clips of Democrats denouncing them.
I haven't
Whereas
either.
people, these like radical groups on the right, they would easily be denounced because it's very easy. I think the problem is it's very easy to denounce someone who's supporting white supremacy. Like it's very easy to say these guys are idiots. But when you
Yeah.
have a group like Antifa that say they're anti-fascist, which is a good thing, but then their
Yeah.
methods are let's go up and punch people on the streets and let's break into stores. And another thing that's been actually going around a lot is you'd have white supremacists going to these riots, but you'd also have Antifa members
Yeah.
who go to these riots, break a load of crap, and then they get out of Dodge, and now you're having videos of actual Black Lives Matter protesters standing around burning buildings, and you're thinking, oh wow, these Black Lives Matter protesters are really violent. When it's groups like Antifa, like
Talking about
you know.
Antifa, Trump actually tweeted on his Twitter page that the people that are doing these protests are going to be labeled as Antifa terrorists.
Yeah.
Well,
He said that on his Twitter account. It's up
I
there.
know.
Which
I think he said Antifa is going to be
Yeah.
designated as a terrorist group, which is long overdue, by the way. Antifa has been ever since Antifa was really formed. It's kind of always had. I'm not a big fan of Steven Crowder, but he actually does have a good video on this where he actually infiltrates Antifa. Not himself, his
What's Antifa?
producer. It's like I don't know the full acronym, but they're basically they see themselves as anti-fascists. But the irony is they perform fascist actions, because they suppress
like the
people, which is
opposite
a
of
big
neo-Nazis.
fascist. Yeah. It's as if they do their methods through violence, which is they say they're anti-fascist, but they display fascist characteristics like suppressing people and using violence to achieve their goals. So
yeah,
I've never been a fan of Antifa. Their message, but it's hard to criticize them because if you go against Antifa, a lot of people would kind of think, well, this guy must love fascism or must love white supremacy, which is the reason I don't like this kind of stuff being turned into a political thing. This shouldn't be a black versus white thing. This shouldn't be a blue versus black. It should be just a humanitarian thing, why is it that black people or people of color are disproportionately being attacked by police? It shouldn't be people on the right hate black people or people on the left hate police. That's not what this kind of argument should be.
Yeah, 100%.
Indeed, yeah.
Like just there talking about these riots and protests. What do you think about the protest that took place in Ireland? Took place in Dublin yesterday.
Was it peaceful? I haven't actually. I want to say it was peaceful.
So far, it's still going on, but so far it's peaceful.
I'd say it's a bit weird because it's
timing.
Well, I won't even say the timing. Talking about coronavirus is a completely different thing. Again, I'd just say, if they waited, it wouldn't have made sense. But like
True.
a lot of people who protested in Dublin, they like we said at the start of the podcast, we've never experienced this kind of racism. You know, I'm not saying that no one in Ireland has ever experienced racism. I'm sure both of you have talked about, you know, the racism that you've experienced, but like we don't really. It's like people talking about it just for the sake of talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people I'd say who were in that protest were people who have never experienced police brutality. They get all their police brutality videos from YouTube and they just take it as at face value. You know.
True. I mean, there's this picture up on Twitter. It was the picture of the protest that took place in O'Connell Street yesterday, and by the looks of it, it was just, I'd say there's around anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000, even more people in that picture. And when you zoom in, there's 4 guards standing. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
Well, we don't know the exact
I know
number because it could be
I don't
on
know the exact number, but I zoomed in and I'd seen maximum
In that picture.
maximum
in
60.
that picture.
Yeah.
This is yes.
But well, I know it's peaceful, but what I'm trying to say is, like, just say some of them started to get violent, okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, if they did actually bring in the public order unit, which is like basically the riot unit of the guards, yeah?
Yeah, the riot's equivalent.
The riot's equivalent of the guard. And
Yeah.
if they brought them in, would you think that there'd be more violence as a result?
There could be an escalation.
I mean, the presence of weapons, first off, the presence of weapons will always escalate things. Because then you have people who are kind of scared, and you have people who distrust the police, thinking, well, what's stopping this guy from just pulling out his pistol and just, you know,
Especially
saying,
from,
oh, wait, step back, and then he just starts
Pistol?
shooting.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, whatever
tasers.
weapon. No, but like, you know, the armed guard response.
Oh no, I mean like the public, the fellas with the
Riot
shield
shields.
and the baton,
Yeah, well,
baton,
yeah.
Baton, yeah. But
and the pepper spray. Don't forget that.
a lot of people could also like panic and just do irrational things, which could be
Yeah.
taken wrong by the police if there is more police present.
Yeah, like I know it was like peaceful and all, but now
Well,
what I'm trying to say,
I think that those kind of protests are the protests I think that should have happened in America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But
Then
then
again, yeah, same time.
the people in America, there's a lot of like white supremacists and Antifa members who are trying to make a bad image for the peaceful protesters that are protesting Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I get you. But what I'm trying to say is like, you seen the groups. It was you seen the picture. It was massive amount of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if people are allowed to do that, why can't I leave my house? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
You mean because of the COVID?
I can't go. Yeah, because of the restrictions, I can't go out. Have the crack with my mates.
I feel like the reason the reason this protest was even allowed to take place and nothing happened with the police like intervening, because there is some pictures of people actually not social distancing during this. I think it's because they didn't want to they didn't want the riots happen like they happened in America.
Yeah, true.
There'll be no reason for them to break out here.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, look, I can't. Yeah, I think I've exhausted. I think I'm probably the least qualified here to talk about this kind of stuff because I've only had one encounter with the police, and yes, I was treated like shit. I was falsely accused of something, but ultimately, you know, compared to what other people deal with,
Yeah.
and like, let's say I swapped in Harish with that situation, and because he's not white, maybe it would have gone down differently. But like, say, I don't think I think I've basically said all I can.
I mean, like, to be honest, if you call me something that I'm not, I honestly wouldn't care because I know what I am inside. But not everyone's the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, like 100%. Like it's something that needs to be dealt with. And now I still personally think that it's not necessary now, but I understand where you are coming from, saying right, if it's not done now, it's never going to be done with. Like it's never going to be done.
I mean, I stand by the peaceful protests, but
Peaceful
when it
is fine.
turns into riots, that's where I have a problem. Because people who are even like affected by the police brutality are being damaged by the riots, which I don't think is fine.
Do you think police brutality? I can't even say it. Police brutality is a thing in Ireland.
I don't know. Haven't
Not
experienced
not
it.
not to the
Haven't
same
seen
extent,
it.
but I can definitely tell you the relationship. Like, okay, when I was stopped by the police once on Halloween, and first off, which I thought was a cliche, but apparently it actually happens. They did good cop, bad cop, right? There was a male and a female police officer. The male was like really cool with us. He was like talking to us, and then the female would start accusing us of stuff like randomly, like, you know. So it was on Halloween, and we were all sitting around a.
How old were you then?
I would have been 15.
Oh, so not so long.
Yeah. No. It was actually the first Halloween I ever went out on,
Yeah.
and yeah, the car pulled up. Well, it was actually a truck, a guarded truck, and two of them hopped out, and like just the way that they, like I do, police obviously have to have this, or Gardaí in this case, have to have a authoritarian voice because they are actually not that obviously not above the law, but they have to enforce the law, so they
They're in
have to
charge
have.
of law and order.
They have
Yeah,
to
they
have
have to have
sort
some
of
sort of
authority.
authoritative
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was accused. We were
You cut off a bit. No, anyway, you're fine.
okay. Yeah, I was
You're-
accused of stealing because I was sitting beside a trolley. Do you know, like a shopping trolley? I was
Yeah.
sitting beside the trolley, and the fella looked at the trolley and said, "Where did you steal this from?" And I said, "No, that was there before we got here." And he said,
Yeah.
"Well, do you want to sit in the back of the car? Would that change your story?" And I was like, the guy basically threatened to put me in the back of a Garda van
And you're
because I
15.
said I didn't steal something. Yeah, and I'm 15. And with the trolley was there. Now I know they don't know the trolley was there before, but realistically, like, I
Why
don't
would a
think that's a
15-year-old?
great. Well,
I mean,
I'm sure there
15-year-olds
are.
would do
Too
that.
young,
Like,
But
why is it's
why don't you
just.
believe it?
But the thing is, that's really tame. I'm sure that's really tame compared to what other people have gone through.
Yeah.
And I
I've
don't.
been through, yeah.
I think with Gardaí, I wouldn't say Gardaí racially profile people.
Oh no, 100% not.
Obviously there are probably some who do, but like I say, a lot of it is just more of a power play than anything
Yeah.
else.
Like I've heard
Um,
stories from my college friends who, apparently she told me that her dad got. Now she's of African descent.
Yep.
And apparently her father got stopped by the guards, but now she told me that the guard was racially profiling her. Like the guard stopped her father because he was of African descent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, yeah, there are stories. Like I remember I was a couple of years back. I was running a 5K in the center of town, yeah, and a guard on a bike, one of those motor cops, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He comes up. He was like, I think he was like trying to move the people to one side so the traffic can go. And he told me to move. I was running on the road and he told me to move on the footpath, which I did. I listened to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I went, he stopped, right? I went ahead and he stopped to tell the people behind me to do the same. And I went and there was a puddle in front of me, right? And I had to kind of get onto the road to go around and get onto the other side. But then he caught me as I was going on the road. And the fella, like, believe it or not, the fella screams at me as if I was like, I don't know, as if I was like stealing something. He literally screams, "Get on the road, the footpath right now!" Like it wasn't even he wasn't even asking. He was like a direct order, and I said, "Right, calm. That's what I'm doing."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that was him pissed off because he had just had a long day, or like he was just not asked to like tell me again. But again, you can't say that. You can't be going around saying that to people. Now, I'm saying all this, and I want to be a guard in the future, but trust me, like you can't. Even my opinion, you can't say that. You can't be going around telling people, right, do this, do that, especially in that town. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I think he can actually speak to it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's the most effective way, but like I've been around people who, like, I know that there's definitely a big divide between the youth of Ireland and the Gardaí, and rightfully so, because there's definitely Gardaí out there who would just stop a random teenager, and I suppose whatever you'd call that, not racial profiling, like the thing here.
Yeah, sorry lads, my mom called me. Yeah. What were you saying, lads?
No, I mean I think I've said everything I need to say. I mean, like I don't have any really. I don't have a hat in this argument. You know,
I haven't been
I'm
stopped.
I'm
To
a
be
straight white
honest.
male. So I suppose I have a lot of privilege, quote unquote.
I'm brown and
But
proud.
yeah.
So yeah.
I'm
I'm
white.
brown and proud. Yeah, I said it.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think we've said everything that needs to be said.
Just all in all, it's a tragic situation, and there's definitely people out there who are taking advantage of this situation.
Yeah, it's a very
for their
disturbing,
own personal gain.
Yeah,
it's a very disturbing and negative thing that's happened, and like no matter what we do, we can't bring Mr. Floyd back, and it's a very bad thing, tragic thing that's happened, and I don't think it should happen anymore. Like personally, I don't know about you, I don't think it should happen anymore.
what we
And
can
it does
do,
need
what we can do though, is support the
prevent.
different charities and prevent this from happening in the future.
We can raise awareness of all the of racism prevention, basically. And
Just well, actually, out of interest, just to play devil's advocate, let's say there was a peaceful protest for this, right, for George Floyd, and the guy got charged, and all that happened. And what if, like, a couple of weeks later, this same, not same circumstance, but same thing happens where a police ends up killing a black man? Would you say, oh, just do another peaceful protest? Would you say that, or would you say maybe it is time to actually knock some heads together?
I just think that the police should be educated on they should be educated on what
there could be a vetting process, even more.
Well,
I know there is one already, but I think there should be even more strict.
Yeah, again, it's very hard to see who's racist. Like real racism is like behind people's backs. It's like quiet. It's not these there's white supremacists, but like it's real, actual everyday racism. Isn't you don't see it. That's the whole point. It's just people, whispering amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to, it's not something where you can just say, well, there needs to be more vetting or there needs to be more training. It's very hard to train someone who's racist to not be racist.
You could just monitor their behavior as a policeman, and then if they get enough.
But then, what if their first case is this case?
Yeah.
So it's I think racism is always going to be a problem. Like as a human species, we've always divided ourselves from race. Like if you look at the past, different. Like if people look different to you, you attack them. If people had different religious beliefs, you attack them.
I just realized I've been talking to myself for the past 5 minutes.
Nice.
My mic cut off and I've been talking. So no, basically what I was saying is that you just need to educate the police educate the police officers that are in the police academy, right? You need to educate the ones now and the ones that the incoming generation of police officers. And people are saying make laws, pass bills to kind of like eradicate all this, but generally speaking, there's no law you can make to sort this out. And people are going to find loopholes. Police officers aren't going to be doing the same thing, and you just need to educate them because leave the current generation because the current generation are the way they are, but there's always new police officers coming in, and you need to train them. You need to make this a core or essential topic. Okay, talk about racism, talk about all this. Okay, and in that way, you might not eradicate it, but you might prevent it. Prevention is better than the cure. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I just think the best thing to do, and like it might not work in America, but I definitely think in Ireland, if we're just to focus on Gardaí, is to actually just improve the relationship between communities and Gardaí. Because I think, first off, I think saying it's all the Gardaí's fault isn't fair because I know how people treat Gardaí. But then again, they didn't just one day wake up and say, you know what, I really hate the Gardaí. It's because there have been Gardaí members who treat them differently just because of where they're from. Maybe it's their accent, maybe it's because they're part of whatever a traveling community and they get treated differently because of that.
Yeah.
It comes from both sides, People don't just wake up and automatically hate like Gardaí. It's because they've been treated differently all these years. So you need to I don't think any amount of training is ever gonna you could put someone in school for 20 years and teach them all this anti-racism, but realistically and that's not gonna work. I don't think no amount of education you could teach them every single person in all of black history. it's not going to change their opinion. I think you actually need someone from that community to just talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think when you bring it all into education, I think it kind of dehumanizes the actual aspect of it.
Yeah. I think I think if we were talking about this, we can be talking for days because it's such a massive topic, and it branches out into many other things.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
Yeah,
at
go
the
ahead.
end of this, it's discussing what happened with
It's been a terrible
yeah,
event, and it is going to go down in history as a very tragic event.
yeah, and I think
And
there was a domino effect which
yeah,
encompassed this event, which
yeah,
is what it is.
because and we hope that nothing like this happens to anyone in the future, because it just shouldn't happen to anyone or any family.
Yeah,
And so the families, especially we give our regards to the family because they're being put through a very very bad time now, and I just can't imagine what they're going through.
and like the families of the protesters who died
Yeah,
during the protests, or even the policemen who.
the families of the protesters, families of the policemen, the families of the policemen that were involved, and the family of Mr. Floyd himself.
Yep.
We give our condolences to all of them because they are going through a lot of stuff, and it just isn't what anyone deserves.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, I think we can wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a really good day, and thanks, Luke, for joining us today.
Yeah, just one last thing. I think it's important that people watching this also give their opinions.
Oh yeah, definitely. For our
Because
listeners who are listening,
like we said, we're just three people. Two of us. Well, I can't really speak for Maciej, but I know for myself. I don't know the first thing about police brutality. I don't know what it's like to
I
be
don't
treated
know.
badly by police.
yeah,
So I think if anyone does have stories, it's probably good
yeah.
that they share them, because
If
if no one shares their stories, well, then we're never going to learn.
that's actually a great point. Yeah, if our listeners do have any stories of or any experiences of police brutality, please do share it with us because it is something that needs to be voiced in this country,
Acknowledged.
not only in this country, in everywhere basically. And
Yeah.
if you do have any suggestions or if you do have any feedback for us, please let us know because this wouldn't be possible without you. And let us know your comments as well. And yes, please. And Luke, thank you very much once again for joining us today.
Anytime.
And yeah,
That's
to our
a wrap.
listeners, please if you did enjoy this and you'd like to listen to more, please let us know any topics that you'd like discussed. And please do like and subscribe and do give us a follow on our Insta page as well. So that being said, there's Harish, Maciej, and Luke signing off.
Story.
Bye bye.
Bye.